Michael Carnevale is branch manager and financial advisor. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services Incorporated, 400 Southbridge Street in Auburn, Massachusetts, 1-800-657-9126. A member of FINRA SIPC and are not deposits, not insured by FDIC or any governmental agency, not guaranteed by Webster 5 Cent Savings Bank, and subject to risk, may lose value. Webster 5 Cent Savings Bank is not affiliated with Raymond James Financial Services Incorporated. The information contained in this report does not purport to be a complete description of the securities markets or developments referred to in the material. The information has been obtained from sources considered to be reliable, but we do not guarantee that the foregoing material is accurate or complete. Any information is not a complete summary or statement of all available data necessary for making an investment decision and does not constitute a recommendation. Any opinions are those of Michael Carnevale and not necessarily those of RJFS or Raymond James. Expressions of opinion are as of this date and are subject to change without notice.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Richard Morco, and I'm here with Mike Carnevale at the Long Hill Report and Conversations With. And we're here in our August edition discussing what's going on in our corner of the universe. And things are a little interesting. As I was talking to our director before the show, I was downstairs on my phone. Now, why do you think I was on my phone? What do you think I was checking? You have no idea. I'll tell you.
Go ahead.
Gas Buddy.
Oh.
Do you know what Gas Buddy
I
is?
do indeed.
I never used to check that.
Where's the cheapest gas?
The universe has changed.
It has.
There I was. I used to have, a card that I put in at a filling station, and I would get the gas, and it may not have been the greatest price, but we weren't discussing that as much. Now, in the history of the universe,
there's a big gap between the cheapest and the most expensive
and
now.
we got to know it.
Yeah.
The world has, like I said, the world has changed, but I do have one question for Mike. Is the war on today, or is it off?
I think it's coming back on.
It's coming
not
back
on yet,
It's
but
not on
we're getting
yet.
close.
Okay, the United States has almost no rocketry or ammunition. How are they going to do this? How are we going to do this? And we, the peasantry, will get blamed for what our leadership does.
Correct.
But how are we going to fight this war?
That's going to be interesting. That's going to be interesting. It's on, it's off, it's on, it's off. Now it seems, at least as of today's news, it's starting to get back on again. And maybe, well, not maybe, but potentially by the weekend it will be on.
It will be on. Well, I hope not, because I do not like to be part of a stupid country.
Well, I think it hasn't worked out as forecasted, shall we say. This was going to be a couple of weeks at the most. Now it's going on to 6 months.
Well, it was probably it was several months before we even did the first one, the Midnight Hammer.
Mm-hmm.
A guy I think he had at some point probably written for Foreign Affairs, and he might have written this one for Foreign Affairs. And his last name was Nephew. And all I can say from what he said and how results came out, his uncles and aunts have got to be really embarrassed about him. Because he came in. We should have one more good faith effort to negotiate with Iran. And if they don't come up with the goods, bomb them. But that's not exactly what he said. But you get where I am.
Yeah.
And he, Foreign Affairs, part of Council of Foreign Relations, all these people, they test for retardation to get to work for those people. I don't know, there's a fellow, I think it's Peter Turchin is his name, and he said we have a problem with too many elites.
Mm-hmm.
if that's elite, and they're all fighting for, what do you call it, positions in think tanks, we're not this, what is college for? They all went to Harvard, Yale, places like that.
Yeah.
What's going on? Mike, come on, tell us.
Well, I think whether it's in the biggest government or the smallest company, you have the same people, really, right? There's a certain group that knows it all, thinks they know it all, and you hope that the vast majority survive in the end. The vast majority of us survive in the end. But it's really been, I keep saying, if you look back on January 1st and said, well, on August 1st, this is what's going to, where are things going to be at? Nobody predicted where it would be at right now. It's you can't really explain it. Why in the real world we got, and then when we have in the fantasy world what we have, they're two separate, distinct outcomes. And eventually one is going to be right. I don't know if we really know yet which one is.
I don't know if we know. I mean, I'm not as young as you, a kid like you. I'm a little older. I was born at the end of the Korean War, around the Korean War.
Okay.
First two things I remember in foreign affairs was Eisenhower said to the Brits and the French and the Israelis, forget Suez, get out of there. There were people pushing him, and that not going into Suez might have been the best thing post-war president ever did. Mm-hmm. But there were some of the state were pushing him in military to go into Hungary during the Hungarian Rebellion. Nah, he said. Nah, he didn't say it like that. I mean, he was more dignified than people, the hoi polloi like us. He basically said, that's nuts. So then you get Kennedy after that, and he didn't. Cuba and Berlin, he could have screwed it up, but he didn't. And Vietnam was kind of coming along, and there will always be question: did he get shot because he refused to go into Vietnam or big time things like that? I don't know. Yeah. But Johnson was a jerk. And pushed that war and lost it for himself, if not the country, and had to say, I will not seek or run for presidency. No, great idea. And then Nixon comes along. And he basically, even though he didn't survive the whole thing, he basically got us out because he had no choice.
Right.
That was it.
Right.
So I remember watching TV after we left, and what's his name? Ford is president. And they're at a table with all these guys, state people and stuff like that, and they're smiling and happy. Why? You don't remember the Mayaguez incident?
No.
No. It was a ship that the Cambodians took.
Okay.
So we sent the Marines in to beat the hell out of them and take it, and it worked. And these guys are at the table smiling as if we had just won the Vietnam War. It was so embarrassing to watch. So we had a little bit of a rest, and then we have the Gulf. We got into Afghanistan, hurt the Russians there, got into the Gulf War, all these things that kept going. And then the 20th century, what they say about Afghanistan, took us 20 years, but we replaced the Taliban with the Taliban.
Right.
So here we are,
Nothing's
a successful
really
country.
Yeah. Nothing really learned or has changed.
Not at all. So ladies and gentlemen, if you like that.
It only gets worse. No.
All right, we're here with our own Midnight Hammer. Mike Carnevale was going to tell us what has happened.
Well, July was an interesting month, right? Historically, it's a pretty good month. It ranks near the top. But it was a kind of a tale of 2 months, really. Got off to a great start. We had 2 all-time highs in the Dow on the 2nd and the 6th. And then we spent the rest of the month, the final 3.5 weeks, just trying to get even. And we did turn positive for July, but it took the last day of the month to do it. So the streak kind of continued. The last 11 Julys now have been positive. This one only by 0.3%, and only because we had a 500 and something point gain on the last day of the month. So,
Who,
you know,
who were the stalwarts in that 500-point gain, do you know? Who were the stalwart stocks?
it was still the, the AI type. They had made a rebound. They had really sold off.
Boy, I hope
Begin
that's,
and they made a rebound.
I hope that stuff doesn't go south sometime.
Well, if it does, a lot more than that is going to go south. I mean, a lot of those companies have reported earnings, and their stocks have gone down because they're so high priced based to either their revenue or if they have earnings. Some do, but not much. But that's the big risk right now. But it was still a positive month, and historically, you got that May to October period, which tends to be the weakest 6 months of the year.
Sell in May was your little
Yes.
comment. Sell in May.
Yeah, go away, come back Halloween Day.
Yeah.
But July is the only month during that period, May to October, that's positive. And it was positive this month. So what do we have to look for October for August, September, October? Probably nothing.
Just meandering.
Right, most likely. Interest rates went up. The 30-year Treasury now is at a 19-year high at 5.25%. That's telling something. The yield curve has also gone up, which is a positive.
Well, I don't know. I'm gonna disagree there a little.
Yeah.
Because for years, for a long time, it was negative,
Right.
and the world did not
Nothing
crash.
bad happened. Right.
So now that it's good and positive, maybe the end of the world's going to happen.
Possible. Anything's possible. But based on history, no. But yeah, I mean, sometimes these things work out perfectly and you look like a genius. Other times these things don't work out at all, and somebody says, well, you might as well just get a dot and throw it at a board and you'll do just as well, right? But there's no question that interest rates are going up. We'll see in the latest inflation numbers, we got a little bit of a reprieve, but that's all been reversed again, mainly because of oil.
Well, when we go down further, we might talk with you about how wash is affecting things, but not, you can, I don't know if you want to do the technicals now.
Yeah, okay, yeah. October usually is not a good month. It's the 10th out of the 12 for performance. But the good news is the last 2 have been positive. Also keep in mind August tends to be very volatile. 10% plus lost gains is not uncommon. So it could be a volatile month. The technical indicators, with the Dow up 0.3%, really didn't do anything. The short-term sentiment did not move at all. So all those indicators, 4 indicators we look at, when you combine them, they all kind of remained where they were a month ago. So that kind of tells you that probably nothing major is going to happen, at least from the technical indicators during the month of August. But yeah, we can bring up the Fed situation because they did hold an interest rate meeting. They voted 9-3 not to do anything, but there were 3 votes that wanted to raise interest rates.
And I take it they might be aligned with the new chairman.
No, they'd be against him. He was the one who was looking to cut rates.
He was
the one
that's right. He was
He's not gotten off to a good start. He's had now 2 press conferences. He is the only Fed chairman in history whose first 2 press conferences have led to more than 1% declines in the Dow each time.
So he's had 2 press conferences.
Yeah. And each day he spoke, the market went down over 1%. never happened before on the first 2 meetings of a new Fed.
What was the
Chairman.
horrible thing he said?
Well, he said some unsettling things in the sense that, and not what you would think. Everyone was afraid, oh, he's going to be a rubber stamp for the administration. He's going to push rate cuts, rate cuts. No, it was like they're going to they formed this committee with outside people, outside Fed people, about how the Fed should collect and report information, which that goes back to, pre-1970s when the Fed would make an announcement and they wouldn't tell you anything. And that can lead to a lot of, speculation, volatility, and so it was Bernanke who began the press conferences after and each Fed chairman after that has followed up. He's only committed to through the end of this year. So he's got 2 more. And then after that, they'll decide whether they do hold press conferences, whether they hold a press conference but don't allow anybody to ask questions, not hold a press conference, only hold a press conference when they make a change. So this is all kind of, unsettling because, if you're going to go back in time where all you based everything on was guessing.
Okay, you say it's unsettling. What in the last year and a half has been settling?
Oh, I'm not that. It's the sense that you know what they're going to do.
Oh,
Before, you really didn't know what they were going to do or why they did it. Bernanke and Yellen and Powell were good at explaining why they did what they did. So far, Warsh has not explained the way. He has said, well, the statement speaks for itself. And when people tried to ask questions, some of them, in a roundabout way, he caught on every time, and he said, well, I know what you want me to say. But he says, that I think the statement speaks for itself. So there was no, explanation why anything was done. And that leads, when you don't get the explanation, it leads to a lot of speculation and, what are they really doing? What do they see that we don't see, so to speak? That's usually not good. You want to get information out there and explain why they do what they did. Bernanke was probably the least forward. Yellen was excellent as far as explaining, and Powell was pretty good too.
I kind of, from news reports, I kind of thought Yellen kind of a bit of a non-entity, but you're saying she came out there and spoke the truth, or if not the truth, said it in a believable way.
Right, and gave an explanation of why they did what they did. Okay. The interesting, she was in Colorado I think it was yesterday or today, and they asked her about, the stock market, how it's performing, how the economy is performing based on the news. And she said, she said what we've been saying, really. I don't know if that's good or bad, but that makes no sense that the market is doing what it's doing and the economy is doing what it's doing based on a war, based on inflation, based on, a few other things. So she's tried to continue to explain why things are the way they are and why the Fed's doing what they're doing. Warsh so far has not explained anything. He's just said, this is what we decided to do, and we had a great conversation, and different sides were presented, but in the end we voted to do nothing. And he wouldn't go beyond that. And so I think that, how do institutions sort of make decisions when that's all the information, they really get no information?
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb here. Warsh is not an unintelligent man.
Oh, no. He's probably the most qualified of the last 3 or 4.
So why isn't he, I'm not going to say why isn't he coming clean, but why isn't he feeling, I should say something that people can bite into and can hear, and why do you think he's not?
I don't know. I mean, some people have an ability to explain complicated things in simpler terms. He may not be able to. If you listen to him talk, it's like he's
Well, how did he get to where he is if he's not able to do that?
Well, I mean, he's always been in, the upper tier,
Yeah, I understand that.
and he's been, and you tend to associate with people similar to that, so that when you talk to someone who doesn't have that background, like a lot of those reporters don't, or the public in general, he can't communicate beyond, sort of the,
Is there anybody in his office, a spokesperson, who can come down?
they would never allow anybody to, never allow anyone to speak other than the chairman. Even now, we've heard nothing from Powell in 2 meetings. He hasn't even given an interview. So no, they would never do that. I mean, it would be. I think we're going to see, if I had to bet, we're going to see less press conferences. Maybe one a quarter, one every 6 months. But I don't think it's going to be the continued every 6 weeks.
Well, what would be the result of that? I mean, when people just say, "Where is the Fed?"
Well, years before these press conferences, people would be looking at the members of the Fed as they were going into a meeting, and it was that old thing. Well, if they got a briefcase that's big, that must mean they're really discussing a lot of things, and maybe they'll make a change. If the briefcase was thin, it was like probably nothing's going to happen, and that kind of worked most of the time. But that's what they were doing.
What a country!
Yeah, that's what they were doing, and it was, I believe it was Bernanke who said, no, we're gonna, Greenspan probably would not, that was during the Greenspan era. It probably would have not worked well, because Greenspan had a hard time communicating complicated stuff in layman's terms, so it probably wouldn't have worked. But certainly with the other 3 that have come after him, it's definitely worked, and it's cut down on the volatility on the day of the Fed meeting. If you look back in, so the past 50, 60 years, how the market fluctuated on days of Fed meetings, the volatility has really gone down because you're getting more information and there's less speculation. Okay. So time will tell. I think the fact that from his first press conference to his second, there really wasn't any change in his delivery. And the fact that when somebody asked him about future press conferences, he said he's only committed to doing it through the end of this year. I think that tells you the direction it's going in. And both days, the market did not like that. It dropped over 1% each day.
So a world in which he doesn't give press conferences, what happens?
Well, I just think it leads to speculation, and usually not good. That's usually not good.
Well, when is would it be on the would speculation occur on the day of the meetings then?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fed voted 9-3, make no change, which you mentioned. We'll do what it takes to bring down inflation.
They say that every time.
Since I have a little boy,
right.
It's really worked.
Yep.
Not. All right. Still looking to make changes in what and how information is reported. 700 points it fell.
Yeah.
After the last one.
Yeah.
I can see why he might not want to do press conferences.
Mm-hmm.
This one falling 1,200. 13th the biggest daily point decline in history.
Yeah. Doesn't mean much,
No.
but, it's a headline.
Apple became most valuable company.
It took over from NVIDIA. NVIDIA was the most valuable company since June of last year. And that's the market capitalization.
Yeah.
The price of the stock times the number of shares. I was saying Apple became the most. Right. And the interesting, I always like this because when Apple came public in 1980, Massachusetts would not allow residents to buy the stock on the offering because they said it was too risky. So had you bought 100 shares, At
We
20
wouldn't be doing this show from here.
At $22 a share, you'd have spent $2,200. Through stock splits, your 100 shares is now worth 22,400 shares, and your $2,200 is worth $7.5 million.
Well, I remember the day they really had the hammer drop 100 years ago when it looked like it was all over. They brought, what's his name back?
Jobs.
Jobs back. And the price was, what, I think $5 a
Yeah.
share. I had a little extra money. I said, should I do this? You can guess what I didn't do.
You did not do it.
But, you know, there's been a few things that I've looked at, and they've been enticing, and it was good for me that I didn't do them.
Correct.
So
Correct.
you don't know.
You don't know.
I still am brokenhearted, though.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, and then think of all the things you've done since October 12th of 1980. And whatever it is, it hasn't added up to 7.6 million. You know, I'm assuming, because you wouldn't be here.
No, you have no idea what my Swiss bank account looks like.
And so, yeah, so that's, you know, it's interesting to, you can read the articles back in that day. Oh, Massachusetts was like, absolutely, this is risky. The Secretary of State would not permit it to
Was
be
that
sold.
still Galvin?
I believe it was Galvin. Did
And
not
he's still Secretary of State.
Yeah, would
not
not-
that they get anybody better.
No, but would not permit it to list in Massachusetts. So,
So we know I didn't go across the border to New York.
to New Hampshire.
Or New Hampshire,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
As they say, you can't make this stuff up. You know? Or only in Massachusetts,
Only
right?
in Massachusetts. All right. Interest rates, no change from Bank of England. Who
Yep.
cares? Canada, European Central Banks, South Korea,
Raised.
hiked. Russia cut. Russia, middle of a war, cut. Wow. Oil rose to 85 from 69 a barrel. I don't know if that's really real, the way things are. Is that SPV stuff in that, thrown into that?
What's SPV?
Petroleum Reserve.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the spot market price.
Okay. So,
And it's today it's somewhere between 69 and 85, you know, in the low 70s, I guess. But production fell. Drilling rigs increased.
not really wonderful there. Drilling rigs rose by 15 to 588. A year ago, there were 540. So people are gearing up to get some more oil out
More
of the
drilling.
American ground. Get as much as you can.
Yep.
Strategic Petroleum Reserve at lowest level since March 1983. What is significant about that date, March 8, 1983?
I don't know.
There was zero at that point because that's when we started it.
Okay.
So it's life here in the ranch.
Yep.
All right, inflation was deflationary for the month.
Right.
Huh?
So prices fell
How did we accomplish that? We
solely
continued-
because oil dropped.
Okay.
And that's why you're seeing the 30-year Treasury note go up in yield, because the feeling is that deflationary report in June is like a 1 and that's it. That it will be up again in July and force the Fed to most likely raise interest rates at some point.
Yeah, I would say inflation is not stopped.
Right.
We're going to see more here
Right.
on this coming months. All right, so the past year, CPI plus 3.5. Whatever happened to that 2% target?
Yeah. They're still talking about it.
Talking about it. What are they doing about it? Would the word nada come into play here?
Well, a lot of this recently is oil, and you have to solve the Iran situation before oil's going to, come down. But we're supposed to be getting so many millions upon millions of barrels of oil from Venezuela. I guess that's not helping at all.
I'm guessing that as the ships get closer to Panama, some of it gets diverted elsewhere. I don't know.
I would not be surprised.
Okay, so anything in there that the producer price index?
No, same thing. It was deflationary, meaning it fell, not to negative, but that's only because of oil.
All right, let's go to the leading economic indicators.
Negative, as they have been for a while, but not as bad in the last 6 months as the prior 6 months. But the two biggest ones are both negative, and those are the ones that have the most weighting in the index, which is consumers' expectations and the work week. And that's because so much of our economy is, based on people spending money. Consumers' expectations are bad, and the work week hasn't been that great.
Well, every economy rests on, at the end of the day, the final consumer. It's something.
Yep.
Somebody's got to buy something so the kids at the factory can work, and
Yep.
so
Layoffs were at their lowest level since September of 1969. That's amazing because in 1969 the labor force was 80 million. Today the labor force is 170 million. So it's very few people being laid off. The flip side of that is very few people are being hired. And you see that in the employment report, which only rose by 57,000. And you really need you need almost triple that to really help the economy, at least based on past history. So, unemployment fell again, but you're getting to the point where, if you haven't been laid off now, you're probably not going to be. And that's why the numbers are so low. Wages are still growing about at the rate of inflation. That puts pressure on the Fed to have to raise interest rates to bring that down a bit. You can't have wages growing too fast because that will lead to inflation. That's kind of a balancing act. They haven't found the answer yet.
how sad we never get to stability.
And we got obviously the stuff going on in Washington, which continues to be more bizarre.
Yes, it does. Whoa. I guess it's just going to be, it's only the two of us that are the island of stability here. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want more stability, come back next month and for the Long Hill Report. It's Richard and Mike saying au revoir.